to my coaching staff. They worked a lot of long hours and built a lot of relationships, and we feel like it's one of the best classes in the country. Recruiting is a way you sustain your program, and so we're really excited to have those guys.
Could you have envisioned this? I mean, everybody knows the circumstances you came in under. Did you envision this good of a class when you took this job at Mark?
I don't know what I envisioned. I just asked those guys to work really hard. I mean, we're very fortunate. We've got some really talented kids, and we also have some great families, and they were raised well. They're excited to be Louisville Cardinals, and so I mean, we knew it would be a big class. We cast a wide net, and to land the sixth that we did, we feel like we're on top of the world right now.
Chris, how key was it to get one early like Josh, and to kind of have somebody to kind of break the seal to say, okay, it's cool to go to Louisville?
It was twofold. It was getting Josh to say he wanted to come to Louisville, and then we got very lucky that he has such a magnetic personality. And sometimes a recruit will say to you, "Coach, I'm gonna work really hard, and I'm gonna try to recruit some of my buddies." I don't know how much they do, but apparently Josh was all over social media and texting, and relationships that he'd forged. He'd come back from a camp and say, "Coach, I saw such and such, or I played with Aiden. Coach, I think we're in a great spot with this guy," and it just sort of became a life of its own a little bit. And then the other part that was very important was we had the opportunity to get those kids here on unofficial visits, so that they were familiar with us. When we saw them in July, we had relationships with them. They could look at you, right before as warm-ups were taking place and sort of give you a head nod. You don't have that if they've never been to your school, if you've never met them in person. And so it was key that a lot of those guys that end up being signees for us, we had on unofficial visits prior to the July period.
What particularly were you targeting in this class? Anything in like size, length, speed, anything in particular?
All the above. We wanted to get guys that could shoot the basketball. We wanted to get guys that were extremely coachable, and we felt like it was a good combination. We got great length, with the guys that we signed, and we wanted to basically get a player at almost each position. Most of the guys are multi-positional, but let's face it, if you bring in 5 guys and you say well, 3 of them are going to be centers, 2 guys aren't playing. And so we wanted those guys to understand that there was an opportunity for them to earn playing time, and at the same time, they weren't canceling one another out.
What did you like about Williamson when you saw him, and what do you picture his game becoming?
Well, I feel like Sam's has just started to scratch the surface of who he is as a player. He's playing really well, but he played on a really high-powered AU team. Drive Nation had some of the best players in the country on their team, and so there might be a game where he only had 8-10 points, but his attitude never changed. I always felt like he was in control when he was out there. I felt like he took advantage of whatever advantage he had. If there was a smaller guy on him, he'd put his back on him and post. If he had a slower guy on him or smaller guy on him, he'd shoot over the top of him. It just seemed like he had a really good feel for the game, and he wasn't scared to rebound. And so, with Sam, I feel like we got a multi-positional, very, very versatile player on both ends of the floor.
How important was DJ? He was committed, then he decommitted, but you had a relationship with him prior to that. How important was he to this class?
Real important. For a while, I didn't know if that mattered. I recruited DJ. I didn't let any of my assistants recruit DJ, really. Coach Murray texted him from time to time, but I fell in love with DJ as a player when I was the head coach at Xavier. I saw him and offered him before Louisville had. And he had been to our team camp a couple of times at Xavier, and so I was very familiar with his ability as a player. I knew that he would come, into college extremely well coached and understands discipline and hard work, because that's how Sabo runs his program. And but I wasn't sure if I could beat Louisville or not. And then, lo and behold, I told him, "Hey, I'm at Louisville now." And it didn't happen overnight. I think he just wanted to be sure, but our persistence, I believe, won out. And I think David's a guard that can bring so many things to the table. He plays the game the right way. He tries to find his teammates. He's got great vision. I think it's really underrated. He really sees plays develop. His length, his athleticism allows him to defend multiple positions in the backcourt. Dave's really, he's a really good player. Really
How
good
quickly
fielder.
did you call him after you got the job? He said, "Hey, I'm at Louisville now."
I can't remember, but 24 hours wouldn't have passed before I made contact.
What did that Louisville Live event mean to you and this recruiting class?
I just think it showed the recruits that came that night, specifically Aiden, how important basketball is here. I think other places say it, but there's only maybe a handful of programs in the country that have the type of fan base that we have. In the non-conference part of the schedule, you can just sort of see around the country who's more invested in football, and whose fans really take to football more. You get 100,000 people in a stadium for a Saturday afternoon football game, but yet you can only get 4,000 fans in your arena for a basketball game. It just, you tell on yourself, and that's not the case here. And I think that was something that our recruits saw up close and personal.
Looking ahead to Tennessee, what part